Next question comes from one of our mastermind students, or it's got to be a mastermind student for them to know some of this kind of inside track information. So usually on an AMA, I wouldn't answer this type of question. And the reason I wouldn't is because this is like really product specific. Somebody went through the training right inside of a paid product or mastermind and then had a question. But this question is broad enough that I think each and every one of you guys will get a ton of value out of it. And maybe, just maybe, we'll give you guys a slight understanding of kind of some of the value that we pack inside of the mastermind. So let's see. So the question comes from KG. And KG says, what's your recommendation on the right way to set up incoming calls from voice drops to Jill's office for them to then qualify the lead and do a warm transfer or schedule appointment with a sales rep to close the deal? All right. So there's a lot in that question, and I'm going to unpack it a little bit, take you guys kind of step by step through the question so that you guys can see what's happening. So in my last agency that I built and sold, and that was a pay-per-call agency from zero to just under $1 million a year in annual recurring revenue, so just over $83,000 a month recurring, almost $84,000 a month recurring. One of the ways that we did prospecting was with voice drops, all right? And what I mean by voice drops specifically, and there's multiple kinds, is ringless voicemails. And again, ringless for me is the key in that sentence. So you can just do like voice broadcasts where the phone actually rings, right? And then you can do what's called ringless voicemails or voice drops, I would call them. And that's a significant piece of information right there. There's two distinctions. When you're doing voice drops, they skip ever ringing, and then they just go to voicemail. You play the message that you want to play on the voicemail, and then it shows up that they have a voicemail. So first and foremost, thing number one, let's just see where I'm writing here. So thing number one is we always want to do ringless. Okay, and unless you're training. Okay, if you're training, it can be a great training activity to do to leave voice drops or voice broadcasts that where the phone actually rings. And the reason that it can be a good training activity is it can incur a lot of phone calls. Okay, we've ran these sessions and we've done voice drops and we've done them in training groups where we've had 20, 30 people here in South Florida answering the calls after we've done the voice drop. And we've literally been able to bring in 500, 600, 1,000 inbound calls in one day using voice drops, right? And when we're doing training exercises like this specifically, a lot of times, okay, we would not do ringless. And the reason is we want to train people as fast as possible. So any objection that they could get hit with for prospecting, right, and doing these sales appointments, we want them to get those, right? We want to take them as fast as possible from where they're at now to a successful sales rep, right? And we know what it's going to take to get there, and it's volume. So the way that we get volume is by doing a lot of voice drops, okay? So when you do this and you're not in a training environment though, I suggest ringless. And the reason that I suggest the ringless ones, which are typically called voice drops, is because somebody will have had to have listened to your message, in theory at least, to call you back, versus just having a missed call and then just calling you up and then you're like, hello, hi, and they're like, yeah, I just missed a call from you. When you do voice drops, you're gonna have a lot of people that never listen to your message, and so they have no idea what it is that you're talking about or what it is that you do or how you can help them. They never heard your pitch. If they never heard your pitch, you're gonna have to give it a lot on the fly. So it can be a great training activity, okay, but long term, I would suggest ringless. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we're dropping a ringless voicemail. So in this ringless voicemail, okay, what I like to do with these is I like to keep them short. Okay, so we want it to be short. We want it to seem like not unprofessional, but almost not scripted. I'm just gonna write not scripted here. And so folks, like, to make it appear not scripted, I actually script the shit out of it. And what I mean by that is I will have an I will have an so that it appears very natural. Okay? I don't want to sound like a telemarketer in my Ringless voicemail. And then in terms of the angle and what we say is we want to copy what's already worked in our angles and in our marketing. We just want to copy into Ringless voicemail. So when I suggest people do Ringless voicemail, they've already prospected one-to-one, right? They've had conversations right in front of people. They've seen what works and what doesn't, or they've done it right on GoToMeeting or one of the other platforms, right? And they've had real conversations and consults. So they know the trigger points. They know what gets people excited. They know how many jobs people want. They know how much income that's going to be. They know where they're stuck and where they're going, right? So they know these copy angles. They know, what to say in these, okay? Or they've ran cold email. Really weird. I just got a phone call, and I was on YouTube live at the same time. So I'm wondering if that is gonna screw things up or not. So when we do these, and I'll give you guys a little hint at this, when we do these, the angle is really simple. Like the angle is like the traditional, like, could you use 5 to 10 new patients, customers, jobs, right? Whatever the lingo is for the niche per, and then week or month. And folks, this is going to differentiate, right? Like for a cosmetic surgeon, they may only need 5 a month and they would be like slam packed. Okay, for like an HVAC company, right, an AC repair company, they might be looking for an additional 5 to 10 a day. Okay, so you're gonna have to change out the timeline, and then you're gonna have to change out what they call their customers. Okay, so this is all about the Ringless voicemails. This is step number 1. This is the first thing that we do. Okay, so then step number 2 is like, folks, this works really good. Again, this works so good that it can actually be a problem. So it works so good in terms of getting calls back from prospects that it can actually be a problem. Meaning like these campaigns, you're gonna be dropping 100 voicemails, 200 voicemails, 1,000 voicemails. And so what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a lot of calls all back at once. Okay, it's like, oh, boom, it just dropped. Okay, great, we're getting a bunch of calls back. So understand when you do this that you're gonna wanna play with it, you're gonna wanna test it, you're gonna wanna go slow, okay? But then ultimately, the way that I got leverage in this and we really scaled this is we used an answering service, okay? So we figured out the messaging, we figured out how to get the calls, we figured out, once we answer the phone, what do we have to say in order to get a set appointment, okay? So really, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to qualify, okay? We're trying to make sure that they read or listened to our message. And then we're trying to book an appointment. Okay? So here, it's like, I guess one of the things to note here is that this was always me doing this Ringless voicemail. So be like, hey, it's Joe. I just had a quick question for you, right? And then I'd hit this. Could you use another 5 to 10 new potential jobs, customers, whatever, per week, per month, right? If so, let me know. I think we could definitely help you. My number is 561-310-5928. Again, it's Joe, and it's 561-310-5928. I'll talk to you soon, right? Like that would be like quite literally my recording, right? So then the person answering obviously is not me long-term. It's not Joe. Okay, so when they answer the call, there's gotta be a bridge, right? Because if not, somebody's just gonna go, I thought this was Joe's phone number, right? Where's Joe? I wanted to talk to Joe, okay? So what we do, if you're not answering these, but you're the one here, right? And that's fine. You just got to address it. Okay, is there's got to be a bridge. So the way that we did this is we'd answer and be like, hey, hi, this is Michelle. Joe's on the other line right now. How can I help you? Okay, so that was the bridge, right? We're giving a reason. Okay, we're giving a reason. And so then what would happen in the conversation is they'd be like, yeah, I just heard Joe's message. So then we figured out that we gave them the bridge. We found out that they did listen to our message. And then we would qualify. Okay, great. That sounds fantastic. So you got Joe's message. What made you the most interested in what Joe had to say? And they're all going to be like, well, we need more jobs right now. Okay, so they're telling you why they should be talking with Joe or why they're interested in the service, right? And then we're like, okay, great. Yeah, so you're interested in, and then we just repeat whatever it is that they tell us. So you're really interested in another 3 to 4 appointments a week. And they're like, yeah, 100%. So then what we do is we qualify. So in the qualify, what we do is we just have some base criteria that we use to ensure that it's going to be a good prospect, okay? So for example, we could have in there like, what's their annual recurring revenue? Okay, we could have in there, what are they spending right now in terms of advertising, or where are they advertising? How many trucks do they have? How many doctors do they have? How many crews do they have? Like things like that, indicators if it's the right prospect or not. Okay, and depending on who it is that you're trying to service, depending on your price points, you're gonna have different qualifications. Okay. So for us, for example, we would want to be working with people that it was more than just an owner-operator. It was more than just a one-man band. We'd want to work with people that had 2 or 3 trucks on the road, okay, if they were like in the service business, if they're an AC or plumbing company. If they were a roofing company, we'd want to make sure, for example, that they had more than 1 crew. If they don't have more than 1 crew, right, and we send them a bunch of jobs and that crew gets backed up, we know from experience, right, that they're going to end up coming back to us and being like, slow down, pump the brakes, right? So we don't want that. Okay, we know if they have multiple crews, if they have 2 to 3 trucks, right, we know what kind of revenue they should be doing as well. Okay, so we qualify, and then we book the appointment. So I'm just going to say book, okay? So when we book the appointment in the last step here, we do a couple of things to ensure that we have what's called a quality set, right? And that's when we set an appointment. When we book an appointment, we call that a set internally, like a consult set, a strategy session set. And we want to do this with quality. So that's going to mean that we're able to get prospects to show up at a much higher rate than people that aren't setting with quality. And so when it comes to setting with quality, we want to make sure, for example, that they aren't going to be out on the road, right? That they're going to be in front of a computer and that they can open up GoToMeeting or whatever platform we're using, Zoom, for example, to view the presentation, right? Okay, because trust me when I say, if you call somebody for an appointment and they're out on a roof or they're at an AC repair job, they're not going to be paying attention. Right? And the chances of you closing a deal is going to be slim to none. Okay? So we got to make sure that they're going to be available, that they're going to be in front of their computer. Okay? Then as well, okay, we get their best email and we get their best phone number. And the reason that we do that is so that we can send them reminders to both. Okay, and just by adding on the phone number there and sending out the reminders, we've increased in the past the show up rate by 10, 15, even 20%, okay, to these strategy sessions or these consult sessions. So you got to make sure that you get the phone number. And then the last thing that we do is we talk up and we set expectations for what's going to happen on that meeting, okay? So we are, number 1, making sure that we set the authority. The person that you're going to speak with is freaking amazing, and here is why. Right? And we do this so that they're anticipating the meeting, they're excited for the meeting, right? They want to make sure that they attend the meeting. And then second, we talk to them about what we're going to cover in that meeting. Okay, so we set the agenda and it's a pre-sell. Okay, so think of it as a pre-sell. So the prospect is thinking about this for the next 24 or 48 hours, whatever we've told them while we're setting this consult. Okay, so think of this as an opportunity to pre-sell the prospect before your sales guy or before you ever get on the phone with the prospect. Okay. Good stuff. Was that good? So let's read this question by KG just to make sure that we solve this. I didn't leave anything out. Let's keep getting phone calls on YouTube Live. So KG says, what is the right way? KG, what is the right, or what's your recommendation on the right way to set up incoming calls via voice drops to Jill's office for them to then qualify the lead and do a warm transfer or schedule appointment? So again, we're going to have them schedule an appointment. We're going to have the answering service, which we do recommend. Jill's office is a great answering service for this. Actually schedule the appointment. And in the past, what we've used, for example, is we've used an online calendar booking platform like Calendly. Okay, so what we do is we just give Jill's office or the answering service access to that calendar, right, so that they can book an appointment. So I hope that helps, KG. I don't like doing a warm transfer, right? I like booking onto a calendar. Okay. One last tip: when you're booking onto a calendar, never book over 72 hours in advance. Okay, and we've tested this over and over and over again. If your time for this consult or for this strategy session is more than 72 hours away from right now, the chances of them showing for this strategy session, for this consult, for this demo, whatever it is that you want to call it, goes down significantly. Okay, so never book out for more than 72 hours. And if I were you, I would be trying to book out from like 24 hours and less from now. Okay. All right, KG, hope that helps, brother.